The barrier separating the active city from the exclusion zone consists of rusted oil drums, barbed wire, and corrugated metal sheets standing 2.5 meters high. Behind this fence lies an area of 6.19 square kilometers containing 45 hotels, 60 apartments, 6 minutes 39 seconds north, 33 degrees 57 minutes 13 seconds east. The main thoroughfare, John F. Kennedy Avenue, runs directly parallel to the coastline. Its asphalt is fractured by the root systems of wild acacia trees, with cracks measuring up to 15 centimeters wide. Inside a former Toyota dealership on this avenue, several 1974 Corolla models sit on deflated tires. The odometers on these vehicles read 0. The paint on their hoods has oxidized completely, leaving exposed steel. Across the street, the display windows of a department store remain intact. Inside, rows of clothing manufactured in the early 1970s hang on metal racks. The fabric has degraded due to decades of exposure to high humidity and ultraviolet light, disintegrating into fibrous dust on the floor. The structural integrity of the high-rise buildings along the coast has been compromised. Concrete spalling is visible on 85% of the sea-facing balconies. Saltwater spray has penetrated the porous concrete, causing the internal steel rebar to oxidize and expand by a factor of 4, blowing off chunks of the facade. In the lobby of the Golden Sands Hotel, a layer of sand 40 centimeters deep covers the reception desk. Guest registers lie open, the ink completely faded by sunlight. Keys remain hanging on the numbered brass hooks behind the counter. The local population of this district was recorded at 39,000 individuals prior to the perimeter closure. The year of abandonment was 1974. No civilian has legally inhabited these structures for 5 decades. In a municipal library located 3 blocks inland, 14,000 volumes sit on wooden shelves. An inventory conducted by authorized personnel revealed a chronological cutoff. There is not a single publication, newspaper, or printed document in the entire facility dated after August 14, 1974. Between 1970 and 1974, this district functioned as the primary economic engine of the Republic of Cyprus. The tourism infrastructure accounted for 53.7% of the island's total accommodation capacity. The annual revenue generated by this 6-kilometer stretch of coastline exceeded 30 million British pounds. Construction records indicate a rapid expansion phase, 99 resort complex conditioning system and 3 underground levels, requiring the excavation of 15,000 cubic meters of coastal limestone. The daily routine was strictly structured around the influx of foreign capital. Shift schedules for hospitality personnel ran in 12-hour cycles. Commercial flights arrived at Nicosia International Airport, discharging passengers who were transported via buses along a 60-kilometer highway directly to the hotel lobbies. Population density peaked between June and August, straining the municipal water supply, which pumped 12 million liters of fresh water daily to meet the demand of swimming pools and industrial laundries. Friends, subscribe to the channel and like it. Write down what country you are watching us from. This helps the algorithms to promote our video. Thanks. The logistical supply chain required 40 delivery trucks to enter the district every morning before 6 o'clock to distribute perishable goods, linen, and fuel. The electrical grid consumed 45 megawatts at peak capacity, illuminating 10,000 hotel rooms. Financial institutions operated 14 branch locations along Evagoras Avenue to process foreign currency exchange. The demographic expansion was continuous, with the permanent resident population growing by 8% annually. The first documented disruption to this routine occurred at 8:30 on July 15, 1974. Seismic monitors in Nicosia recorded the detonation of ordnance during a military coup d'etat. 120 kilometers away in Famagusta, the Cypriot National Guard units received orders to confine all personnel to barracks. Radio frequencies previously broadcasting civilian programming switched to continuous military marches. At 1400, commercial flights to Nicosia were suspended. The supply trucks stopped arriving. The kinetic phase of the event began on July 20, 1974, when Turkish armed forces initiated an amphibious landing on the northern coast of the island. However, the direct impact on the Famagusta district occurred during the second phase of the military operation. On August 14 at 4:30 a.m., Turkish Air Force F-100 Super Sabre aircraft dropped unguided munitions on the outskirts of the city. At 6 a.m., 155mm artillery fire struck the electrical substations, instantly cutting power to the 45 megawatts grid. The water pumps failed. Elevators in the high-rise hotels ceased functioning. Civilian evacuation commenced immediately. The process was entirely uncoordinated. 39,000 residents and an estimated 15,000 tourists exited the district within a 14-hour window. The primary evacuation routes were directed south toward the villages of Darinia and Paralimni. Traffic congestion caused a bottleneck on the secondary roads. Hundreds of civilian vehicles were abandoned on the asphalt when they ran out of fuel or overheated. People carried only what they could physically hold. Luggage was left open on hotel beds. Meals were abandoned on restaurant tables. At the local hospital, patients capable of walking were directed to leave, while medical staff manually carried incubators and critical equipment to waiting military trucks. The point of irreversibility was recorded on August 16, 1974, at 1800. Armored personnel carriers of the Turkish military reached the designated ceasefire line. Infantry units established a physical cordon across the southern access points. A perimeter was drawn using concertina wire. The immediate aftermath was defined by absolute silence, broken only by the sound of uncollected livestock. Military command issued General Order 41. Anyone attempting to cross the perimeter from the south would be shot without warning. By 6 a.m. the following morning, the district was sealed. The physical status of the site transitioned from an active urban center to a military exclusion zone. Post-evacuation operations were conducted systematically. Between the autumn of 1974 and the end of 1976, specialized units entered the perimeter. Documented observations from UN personnel positioned at observation posts recorded convoys of military trucks exiting the zone loaded with heavy appliances, commercial refrigerators, television sets, and industrial kitchen equipment. The Asteria Hotel basement, which housed the main safe deposit boxes for foreign tourists, was accessed. Photographs taken by authorized journalists years later showed steel vault doors measuring 12 centimeters thick, completely cut through with acetylene torches. The Turkish 8th Infantry Regiment maintained absolute control over the sector. Red signs with white lettering were bolted to the fences, reading "Forbidden Zone" in 3 languages. International diplomatic intervention occurred in 1984. The United Nations Security Council adopted Resolution 550. This document explicitly stated that attempts to settle any part of the district by people other than its inhabitants were inadmissible. The resolution mandated the transfer of the area to the administration of the UN. This mandate was ignored. The zone remained inaccessible. Researchers who gained highly restricted access in the 1990s cataloged the decay. Inside the Edelweiss restaurant, tables were still set with ceramic plates and silverware. In the residential sectors, household plants had grown through shattered windows, merging with the exterior flora. Roofs of single-story dwellings had collapsed inward due to the accumulation of untreated rainwater. Official statements from the controlling authorities repeatedly claimed that civilian property was being protected. However, measurements of the structural mass of the city indicated the removal of thousands of tons of material, contradicting the official stance of preservation. The legal and physical status of the exclusion zone shifted on October 8, 2020. Authorities opened a 1.5-kilometer section of Democritius Avenue to pedestrian traffic. The asphalt was overlaid with new material, and police checkpoints were established. Scientific monitoring of the remaining structures indicates severe degradation. Civil engineering assessments conclude that over 80% of the multi-story buildings must be mechanically demolished. The reinforced concrete has lost its load-bearing capacity due to 46 years of chloride-induced corrosion. Ecological data shows an increase in the nesting population of endangered green and loggerhead turtles on the undisturbed beaches, a direct result of the absence of human artificial lighting. The original inhabitants formed associations to pursue legal action. As of the current legal docket, over 460 claims have been filed with the Immovable Property Commission, seeking financial restitution for lost assets. The European Court of Human Rights has processed multiple cases regarding the denial of access to property. The compensation programs remain complex, requiring claimants to provide original title deeds issued before July 1974. The physical reality of the site remains dictated by the fence. Today, 2.5 kilometers of pristine Mediterranean beachfront remain entirely surrounded by 14 kilometers of military-grade fencing. Thanks for watching. Write a comment and like it if you liked this video. See you soon.